morning, good afternoon, good evening. That's Connor and I'm Jack, and this is the Footy Five 2019-2020 best guess for our table predictions. It's not always so good.
God help us.
It's not always so good. You win some, you lose some in prediction season, and we're going to take a quick look back 12 months ago where we felt so confident about some of our
We
takes.
felt really good about some of these picks.
And we were so wrong on some of the other ones.
I've got United, which may be the biggest surprise of all. I just don't see them doing much of anything, and a lot of that is down to Jose Mourinho.
This man is absolutely mainline!
I think he's beyond toxic for that side. He's arguing with everybody. He's already making excuses in the public, just saying, okay, if we don't get our transfers the way we want them, it's going to be a rough season.
This one drops in! And forget away!
I have Chelsea in 6 personally. But they just don't have a team that screams just talent.
There's a lot of question marks around Chelsea.
I mean, Hazard, I think if he leaves, certain in 6th place. If he's there, you still have that element of him being a different.
They're going to struggle for top 6 if they don't have Hazard.
And this one deludes everybody!
And that's why I've got them in front of, just barely in front of United. I mean, this is a 50-50 toss-up.
I think that the difference for Spurs and why I don't have United potentially here is because they haven't done anything in the transfer window.
Got them in my 4th spot.
The wonder strike from Cristiano!
But I think they have too much talent, I think. With likes of Paul Pogba, Romelu Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez. Those are players that...
Mata, Rashford, Pogba, Martial. It's a ridiculous amount of talent.
Even if they don't gel together, they're going to win games.
So I've got Arsenal in 3rd place.
I have Arsenal in 3rd as well, and I see a lot of the same things that you do in them.
And that leaves, I think, the consensus top 2. We've both got Liverpool here.
Like a fresh fish. What a pass! Absolutely brilliant dynamic. He doesn't need 2 touches. He doesn't need to control it because this piece of...
That means you look at Liverpool and you say, is Liverpool last year, they beat City in 3 out of the 4 times that they played them. So, I mean, you say, well, I mean, individually against Manchester City, you could argue they're a better team. And if you say Liverpool have made better improvements in the transfer window, then you say, well, maybe Liverpool are a better team than Manchester City. Can they be more consistent than Manchester City? They have to get rid of those draws against teams like West Brom. They can't lose to Swansea City.
Genius! That's the only word you can't use! They should name a constellation in the heavens!
Now getting into this year's bottom 3, not a surprise. Both of us have Cardiff coming in and going right back out.
Magic! Alexis to Messi. Brilliant!
Can't score, right? They've got a propensity to turn over managers like crazy. Javi Gracia is going to be looking over his shoulder the entire season, not knowing what's going to happen, if he's going to have a job.
I have Huddersfield Town going down as well. We had them last year going down, trying to get them. Got that wrong. Clearly trying to get them out of the Premier League.
I've got Huddersfield as well. I like Wagner's approach. I like his style. I like his comportment. I think he's a fantastic guy, and I think he's going to be managing somewhere else next year.
Messi! Goal!
You've got a long-time team, Newcastle.
Oof, that Watford pick. Did they finish 11th?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was atrocious.
They're
pretty wrong.
The year before that was even worse. We both had Burnley, I believe, bottom of the table,
And they
20th,
finished
and they finished 7th. So they were close.
That was a tale of 2 Burnleys, though, that season.
And then the season afterwards, obviously, they had a bit of a fall back to earth. But it just shows you the polarity the Premier League can have from year to year. So there is a big 6, but possibility for a breaking out of the big 6.
Yeah, I don't feel the top 2 are kind of a coin flip, I think, and just about anybody who does this is got the same top 2, but the other 4 are up for grabs. I think spots 3 through 10 are complete free for all. I've never felt less confident in.
I would say 3 is a little high for the free for all category, but
that's probably a lock. But
it's interesting to see. I think it's gonna be very consensus top 3, but there's a lot of contention between these top 6 teams because those are the European spots, the ones that kind of matter the most. Yep. The big money is made here because you get the high Premier League money as well as the European competitions.
without further ado, in number 6, I've got my first surprise here. I've got Leicester City. Obviously, losing Harry Maguire hurts, but everywhere else they're overflowing with talent. Vardy scores goals. James Maddison's great in the midfield. Picking up Ayoze Perez, proven goal scorer in the Premier League. Yuri Tielemans, Ben Chilwell, Wilfred Ndidi, Harvey Barnes, DeMarco, all under 23. That's a crazy amount of talent. And you have Brendan Rodgers, who has had now a little bit more time to get his philosophy ingrained in the club. He's got experience in a top 6 team from his time as Liverpool, plus as boss at Celtic, winning titles, and so
they
get
an
there?
shot. I think that the team that you have falling out is Chelsea. I think that's the team that everyone looks at and they're like, they are the wildest of wild cards because they weren't allowed to make any new signings because of the transfer ban, and it's just a question of, can Frank Lampard prove that he's a good manager? And I don't know if he can. I have more belief than you do because I have Manchester United sitting in 6th place. I believe that they have not made enough improvements in comparison to everyone else to offset their weaknesses. Because last year they were 6 and everyone else was above them by a large margin. Not just in terms of points, but also in terms of actual quality of football.
Well, they shipped 54 goals.
They shipped 54 goals. They tried to address that by signing Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, but they didn't really fix their midfield issues. They sold Lukaku. Everyone was saying what a fantastic sale that is, a ton of money.
80
but
million.
you didn't replace him. So the question is, where are you going to fill in these holes in your squad? You're already in Europa League, and you obviously have similar concerns with their ability to get back in the Champions League.
Yeah, I don't see them doing it. The interesting thing will be, there's a bunch of questions around this team. First and foremost is, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer came in last year and he had a great start and then a terrible finish, right? So it was completely inconsistent, right? So you don't know how good he is and how good that side is going to be for him. This is interesting. What's the Pogba situation? Is he going to blow up the chemistry, or is he going to be a good soldier? There's talk of him becoming club captain.
Yeah.
I think that could prove disastrous. I don't know. They've got a lot of youth up front. Obviously, Martial, Rashford, Lingard can score. They've got Daniel James coming in. Mason Greenwood getting promoted, but he's 17, right?
They have
Alexis Sanchez.
When I look at this team and I see that they are willing to invest in the project.
I just couldn't get anybody who wanted to show up.
Exactly. I think
what does that tell you?
I
United
think that
team can't find players.
They made good strides in the transfer window. They did not make enough to get back into the top 4 yet, in my opinion. That does not mean that they are going to be a failure as a club in long term. They need to accept that maybe you need to take a couple steps back to move forward. You need to move away from the Alexis Sanchez, the Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who was holding you up like just before you're going to fall, and then they collapse and they didn't have enough to build.
I don't know what they're going to do with Sanchez. They have
a lot of issues. I have Chelsea in 5th place. I'm sticking with the typical top 6 teams. You have an outsider coming back in there. I think that Chelsea have a lot of talent. And they also have a club legend at the manager spot. I think
it's tough, man. And he's only got 1 year of managerial experience. Granted, he went through Cauldron at Derby and he lost in the final.
I think that what Chelsea have struggled with is turnover of managers and lack of faith from fans. And I think that Lampard can fix both of those issues right there alone. And that's going to help him a lot in his
Hopefully
job.
he has the patience, a patient owner, but Abramovich has not shown any ability to be patient.
I think that Pulisic, is going to surprise a lot of people. I think he's going to be very good. He's not going to live up to the weight of Hazard's number as well as his position.
Tough.
It's tough to live up to, but his first season, I think, will be a successful one. And I think that Chelsea will have enough to not fall so far out of the race. I think they're still a better side than United, and we'll find out soon this weekend as their leadoff fixture is against United.
Yeah.
So we're going to see immediately
early test for Lampard.
Early test for both of them, and especially for United, who want to prove their merits in that position.
At 4, I have Arsenal. I don't know what to expect from this team. The biggest questions for me is their back line. They lost Lauren Koscielny, the club captain, left on very bitter terms. It was very ugly there towards the end. The announcement, the video, that was a little bit cringy. But that leaves plenty of minutes for Mustafi, which should not, if you're an Arsenal fan, it shouldn't make you feel real good.
And David Luiz.
He's gone. He's gone.
He came to Arsenal.
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. Can I change my picks?
He has a penchant for deadline day moves. He moved from
nobody saw that coming.
Benfica to Chelsea in 2011 on deadline day. He moved from PSG to Chelsea on deadline day a couple years later. Then he moved from Chelsea to Arsenal on deadline day yet again. He is not a world beater.
How the hell did that even happen?
He's better than their options. And they also signed Kieran Tierney at left back, Arsenal made great moves, I think.
Well,
And Nicolas Pepe up front.
Ceballos and Pepe. Like, they don't need more scoring. I mean, they got Aubameyang and Lacazette, so it'll be interesting to see how Pepe plays because he was a very high-scoring midfielder.
Yeah.
But I think that this is a make or break year for Unai Emery. I don't know that he did enough in the window. They're gonna have to outscore their defense because they are gonna get pounded.
Here's what I see though: is I see a lot of similar signs. People are following the Liverpool method. I have them in 4th place as well. I think that's a very good spot for them. Back into Champions League and continuing their growth because they also
I'm not confident in it at all.
We the last decade, a lot of the big teams have had a lot of turnover to try and keep that immediate success up. Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola proved that you can build more of a dynasty if you have multiple years of trust in your coaches. I think Unai Emery has the talent to transform Arsenal, but he's a lot like Jurgen Klopp, where he had a world-beating scoring squad, which was so porous at the back. Liverpool made that signing of Virgil van Dijk, everything got fixed. Arsenal are a Virgil van Dijk away from being in a similar spot. So they are making good progress. And Liverpool, the season before they had that title race last season, so 2 seasons ago, they finished in 4th. This would not be a failure for Arsenal at all.
I think they're going to have to do something in the winter window is my guess.
I agree.
In order to get somewhere. 3rd place, we both have Spurs.
Yeah.
Obviously a very, very good team. Not good enough. They've been so consistent over the last 4 or 5 seasons, and they've actually made some moves this year. But I think the thing that's looming over the top of them is what happens with Christian Eriksen. Bringing in Lo Celso looks like good cover for that.
We mentioned last year how it's crazy that the Premier League has a transfer deadline that is 3 weeks nearly.
Well, it used to be 3 weeks into their season. They thought that was a terrible idea. This feels worse to me.
Yeah, because now Christian Eriksen, it feels very realistic that he could leave the club. And that would leave you with a sore lack of just a world-class
creativity in midfield. I mean, look, Lo Celso's good, but
he's not
clearly they got him as a replacement, but I don't see it.
For Spurs, they are a very good side. They've been building, again, that motto of, not the motto, but the idea of building with a long-term dynasty versus the short-term panic. That has rewarded them, and they have a good, strong core, and this is going to be their best chance to challenge for a title they've had in years. Issue is, though, they have 2 teams that are just better than them.
Yeah.
Simple.
Well, I mean, they picked up the Frenchman from Lyon, Ndombele, in the midfield to partner Sissoko. I mean, that's going to be a tough defensive combo, the two of them. Sessegnon, don't know if he's going to be enough cover at fullback because they're weak in the wings.
Yeah, they've made some very good signings. I love their moves they made in the window. Lo Celso, I think, is a fantastic transfer. I love Ndombele. He's just one of my favorite players to watch. And then you also had Sessegnon, who was been linked to them for so long. Another great
24 million, 25 million,
around that mark.
Great value.
Great value for a guy.
18-year-old.
For a guy who I think can prove that value over the next decade, which is
could play wing too. He doesn't have to play fullback.
I think the Spurs, they're a year off, but it feels like a year off could be you've lost all your key talent at the beginning age, and they are behind the top 2 teams, which are a bit more of a coin flip. Liverpool and City.
I have Liverpool in 2nd. Everybody's talking about they didn't make any moves. They didn't do enough in the window. Obviously, Klopp feels confident in this team. But more than that, I think he sees Oxlade-Chamberlain coming back in as a signing, a healthy Lallana as cover, and he's playing a deeper role in the preseason. Oxlade-Chamberlain, I think, could be a real transformative player for them.
Yeah.
For Lallana, if he doesn't show up this year, it could be it for him, bringing Mignolet leaving to Bruges, bringing Adrian in to cover for the remarkable Becker.
Yeah.
They looked great in the friendly tune-up against City in the Community Shield.
Yeah.
Great second half, losing on yet another goal line clearance.
That is a true coin flip. Is a penalty shootout.
And then penalty shootout.
Yeah.
But
I think their depth, actually, one more thing, if they have trouble, they're going to go to their academy system. I mean, just use Arnold and Gomez as examples of players they're confident bringing these guys in. Nat Phillips, Rian Brewster could be ready to step in if called upon, and then you have Vandenberg. Granted, he's 17 years old, and a signing, but those guys could do it. I mean, they could be the signings that come up and bolster them.
See, here's the thing. What I like about Liverpool is, in my head, I looked at them and I said, everyone around you is making moves. City signed Rodri, a fantastic cover for defensive mid. Spurs splashed with Ndombele, Sessegnon, and Lo Celso. Arsenal bought one of Liverpool's targets, Nicolas Pepe, and they also improved in other positions. And then also United, they made a ton of moves as well. Chelsea obviously couldn't make the same moves, so they're kind of relevant. Liverpool were just joining Chelsea in the transfer bans, basically.
They're like, we'll keep you company.
Exactly what they were deciding to do. They were saying to them, we'll help you out with that. I think that they have proven that they have squad chemistry, which is something that they have probably better than
His
anybody
system,
bar City.
Klopp's system is fantastic, and he's got those players believing it.
And I think that what I also like about the idea of bringing up the youth is it gives the academy player something tangible to look at. They say, well, Alexander-Arnold, Joe Gomez, young guys were given chances and they proved themselves. We're going to get chances, so they're going to keep working hard, because at clubs like City or like at United, who haven't had a track record in recent years of giving youth players a chance, it makes you wonder in the next 5-10 years how many of their academy players will come up and be almost free transfers for you.
That's what I think they're counting on.
I think that's what Liverpool are counting on. I don't have them in second. I have City in second.
Yeah, I don't see them getting another 97 points, though, and that's what it's going to take to win.
Here's what I see. I think that the overall quality of the league has improved from last year. Liverpool and City will both fall far from... I don't think either of them will get 90 points. That's how far I think they're both going to fall.
Bold, I don't know about that.
I think that they're all going to be chipped at so
City.
hard, because last year they were both just so high quality that this year it's going to be so hard to match that, especially
Liverpool did not lose in the league.
Except for City. And City are
that's
the
the one
only team
wrong.
to have beaten them once. And that just shows you how close they were to winning that title. But all these teams, including them as well, have all made improvements in certain areas. I think that just means that it's going to be even tougher for them to perform to the same level. And I think the ultimate deciding factor could be Liverpool want this more than anything. They have not won it in almost 30 years. If they don't get it this year, it'll be 30 years since their last title in 1990. And City, however, they're back-to-back champions.
This would be 3 in a row they're going for.
I think the passion from Liverpool will trump all. I think it will be their only trophy this year. I think that City will have a serious run at the Champions League and might actually win it.
That's my question. I had 2 questions that I wrote down here. One, is there a happy hangover situation for Klopp and the club after winning their 6th European title? And then, does Pep sacrifice any of these Premier League matches for European glory? Because everybody knows he wants
their
Europe.
depth is so crazy that they won't be sacrificing a crazy amount. But it's just a question.
No, it's true.
It's just a question of, can Liverpool get the passion and just push themselves forward? Because we mentioned it already. Liverpool had too many draws that they should have had. They were yet another side. It's only been them in the last 10 years who have led on Christmas in the league and not led on the final day of the season. They have let themselves down several years, and this, I think, is the year that they're finally going to be able to break that curse and stop the fans from memeing them and saying, oh yeah, you're good, but you never won a Premier League.
You're not great.
You haven't won a Premier League.
But look, City's got De Bruyne, hopefully for a full season for them, and they did great without him, so he's back is a key to success for them. Cancelo and Angelino. Cancelo will start at right back, and Angelino's great cover at left back. I mean, the cupboard is far from bare there. Pep has been pretty prickly towards Liverpool in the preseason, saying, well, why would you only want Europe? The Premier League is better, because clearly he himself is jealous of that trophy that Jurgen Klopp just put in the cabinet.
I think that it's going to be a very good race, and I hope for another close one between them two. I think that Spurs, they have a shot to just be challenging, but will they be able to?
They're one injury away from 5th. I mean, I would not be surprised to see Wolves up here, even with the Europa League Thursday, Sunday
I think that
nightmare.
You're a little more optimistic than I am with the other side's potential. I think.
Chelsea, I still have it. I think they could make it back up in there, but I don't know what to expect. Everton, they've gotten a lot better, but they still have Marco Silva.
Yeah, that's entirely possible. I think that it's very interesting to see. Other end of the table, the guys who were hoping to keep that Premier League money for another season.
This is where we were so close last year.
I've got
Norwich. They won the championship, but made very few moves. We talked about this in the Transfer Stupid. They stick with the same club that got them the title and the promotion.
I think here's the thing. To spoil mine a little bit, I have one side going down, and it's not one newly promoted side that's going down, and it's not Norwich. I think that the difference between Norwich and the side I do have going down, it's a bit of a spoiler, is Sheffield United. I think the difference there is that Norwich have a style of play that they believe in,
I don't know if they have the talent behind.
I think that they will struggle. It remains to be seen how they do against Liverpool, but it's going to be a case of
they got a brutal start.
They have a terrible start, but I think that they actually have enough of firepower to be able to win those 6-point matches against your relegation contenders. So I think that they will be able to have enough to not be bottom of the drawer. I think that they're going to be more than that. So I think 20th is a bit of a reach, but I think it's easy to see that they could fall flat on their face with this gegenpressing style. But the fact that they are trying it shows that they are willing to score.
100%. Love the style that they play with. Daniel Fark came from Borussia Dortmund also. He prefers that fast-paced possession style of football. It's great to watch, but I don't think he has the personnel to make it work. I think they're going to be so exposed at the back, and the much higher caliber of competition in the Premier League is going to leave them. They could ship 60, 70.
I don't think that he has enough talent to be a major contender, but I think he's enough talent to take the sword to your other relegation favorites. I think that one of them is definitely Brighton, the team that I have in 20th place. And that's a team that last year they were close to being around the bottom of the league. And according to the ESPN Luck Index, they, as a matter of fact, would have gotten relegated if correct calls were made. So if VAR was posthumously implemented on the Premier League, they would have been relegated. They were very lucky last year. They fired Chris Hughton, their last manager. They are just one of the shakiest teams for me. I think that they are going to be one of the teams that is going to fall down in this coming year. I think that it's always tough to pick who's going to go down because there are a lot of teams, and you don't like the idea of you're not going to be here next year because it's also tough to think about. But I think
Norwich, I mean, look, since 2010, they've been up twice for 4 seasons, and they've been down in the football championship for 5 seasons. So they understand the pressures that come with promotion, and they stuck around for a couple of years on one of those. I mean, for one of those was a one up and down bounce, but so at least as a club they understand it. But I mean, Timu Pukki is going to score, but I don't think it's going to be enough to outrun their defense. That's going to be a problem.
Newcastle, another team that
I have them bouncing. To me, they feel like a cat with 9 lives. I think they've used them all up at this point. Benitez is gone. Ayuso Perez is gone. Salomon Rondon is gone. And between those 2 guys, that's 50% of their goals. And Steve Bruce in as manager, he's got experience in promotion fights and relegation fights.
They just lack stuff.
Well, I mean, Joe Linton, good signing. Miguel Almiron, full season, not enough of an answer.
I have them in 18th for myself. I think that they are going to be one of those teams going down. I just think that they don't have enough. That's just simple as that.
Yeah.
My team in 19th, though, is Sheffield United. I already previewed that a little bit. In my opinion, I like Chris Wilder a lot as a manager. But I just don't think that they have enough of a style. Norwich are willing to attack you. They're going to score goals. They're not going to be one of those newly promoted sides who can't get enough goals to stay in the league. They'll be able to score enough.
Bournemouth or Huddersfield Town that can stick around for a couple of seasons and then they'll get bounced next year.
But Sheffield United, though, they've had the same core, so they're like Norwich where they've kept a lot of the core together, but their core just isn't as good, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Second, but I just don't think that they have enough to say as simple as that. I think that you have another similar team.
Yeah, I've got Brighton in there. I don't. This could be United. It could be. I didn't even think, or Sheffield United. It could be Crystal Palace. I think Brighton are in trouble.
Yeah,
I don't see them.
And then I have Newcastle in my 18th as well. I think that ultimately it's going to be these 3 sides for me just have the least talent in the league and don't really have a style. Newcastle are a bit of a mess. I should probably have them lower than I do because you don't have Rafa anymore. And Rafa was
worth
carrying
10 points
this
easy.
team.
Yeah.
And it's tough for me to look at any of these 2 teams and say, yeah, I favor you in 30% of your matchups this season. I don't favor them in 30% of their matchups. And that means that I'm going to be struggling to support them throughout the entire season.
Well, that'll do it for our preview. Next up is our player preview. We'll talk about how poorly we did on the Golden Boot last year. And actually, I think we may have done a little bit better than we think. But
if it was anything close to how badly we did on the predictions of the table, it's better than 2 years before that where I had Spurs winning the league. I had
Everton in 6th.
Everton in 6th place. That was
after what's his name spent $100 million in this transfer window.
That was just a crazy. Predictions are predictions.
Yes.
And ultimately,
sure to go wrong.
10 months of football will
tell us how stupid
we are, indeed.
Please like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate it. For Jack, Conrad, this has been the Footy Five. Take care.